It's weird, huh? I mean, considering that I started playing this game religiously about 4 years ago, technically I've had accounts and I've been trying to get into the game for five, or more like I've been playing the game for five, or just about getting there. I never actually decided to make a video like this, so it's about time I actually finally made a video about this. So, I'm going to talk about my story with Genshin Impact. This is mostly for therapy because, well, we'll talk about it as we get into the ladder of this sort of endeavor that I'm putting myself on. But I mostly just want to talk about my journey and talk about the stories surrounding my Genshin journey, I guess. That's really it. Because I'm often filled with these thoughts about this game because I enjoy it, but there are also some things that the game for sure definitely needs to improve on. So I'm gonna start with this right now as just a little disclaimer. This is not meant to be a Doom post. If this comes off as a Doom post, either you're being too sensitive or my language, well, it isn't doing justice for the goal I've set out for this endeavor of mine. I personally, I just want to tell stories, man. That's kind of it. Whether I'm giving good or bad sentiments, just know I appreciate the game for what it is. It's just that spoiler alert, I don't want to play it anymore. So I kind of want to get these stories out onto the internet so other people can enjoy them. And other people can realize it's okay that you like or used to like this game, or any game for that matter. It should be highly encouraged to share these stories with the world. Because I think in a way that makes us all human. And that's kind of what I'm trying to do here. I just want to think very critically and very emphatically about my journey. And that's all there is to it. Now, another disclaimer or two. I'm going to be talking about the music and the footage side of things. Let's start with the footage. If you see footage that is not Genshin, one of the things we're eventually going to cover within this video series that I'm trying to make here is I can't play Genshin for very long, and that's not for lack of trying. It's usually the fun part of Genshin stops after 15 minutes. Nowadays. There used to be a lot more to it, but now for me, it's just for the man I am today. The fun stops after 15 minutes. So there may not be very much Genshin gameplay. Essentially, what I'm saying is you might see some Wuthering Waves footage, you might see some Marvel Rifle footage. That way you're just not seeing me kill some steampunk robots over and over again with a guy who can punch things real good. I mean, I'll be honest, that's the team I'm really enjoying right now, and I'm happy to use that footage. So. But I also do want to make sure that I get a little bit of variety. Anyway, as for the music, I do not plan to monetize these videos, even if they do well. Sure, I might replace the music later, and I'd replace the music especially if the artists that I want to use specify, please do not use their music for this. Yes, that is something I will absolutely do, and all they will need to do is ask. But the way I'd see it, this is free exposure. And again, I do not plan from getting money from this. This is just something I want to do. And personally, I want to use their music because I actually like their music. I will be leaving the artists for the music I use into the description of each video, and I will leave the song as well. I highly recommend you go check them out because I do think they're genuinely talented people, and I respect them a lot. So, with the 3 disclaimers out of the way, let's get into a bit of a prologue here. So, according to HOYO-Lab, the main account that I mostly use has been active for 1,246 days. And that's actively playing. I know I've been playing longer. I know dang well I've been playing longer. Because that's just one account. Because, fun fact, there's 3. Now you might be asking, Nate, why do you have 3 accounts? I mean, for many players, I'm very well aware that some people have 3 accounts. Some people play other people's accounts just to keep the other people's accounts well active. I used to be that way with a relative of mine who was in the game at some point. But I'm not that way anymore because I typically like to just stick with the one account. I feel really good with the one account, and that's how I have the most fun with the one account. I have 3 because I was having a hard time getting into the game. You see, my first account I got on my tablet or my phone. I can't remember which. And it was attached to my Game Center account. Yeah, like a mobile Game Center account. So a Hoyoverse automatically made like a Hoyoverse account around my Game Center account. And as I was trying to get into the game, because I was recommended it by another relative, different relative, and one of his friends to go play it because it was free and it was pretty alright, and they thought I would like it. So I gave it a try, and as I was going through the story, I'm like, this is made for babies.
Oh, brother, this guy stinks!
Like, I'm just gonna rip off that band-aid. Genshin's prologue is god-awful, except for Venti and Diluc, I guess. I don't like Lisa. Stop calling me cutie. And Jean is just soccer mom. And, like, she has her place, but I'm not a huge fan of Mondstadt. I'm not gonna lie. Like, even Eula, like, I get it. I get it, guys. She has a big butt, but, like, I'm not that big of a fan of Eula. She's okay. And that's just my cultural biases, of course. But at that time, I was really only getting, like, fun vibes when I was talking with Venti, because it felt like I was making progress. And I mean, it was kind of obvious that he was the region's god as well. And well, we'll talk about why that matters so much to me in a minute. But I did enjoy Venti, besides the fact of, for a while, I couldn't tell what he was. I was one of the folks that didn't exactly know what gender he was. Because at first I was like, is that a girl or a guy? Because I don't know what they are. That's kind of confusing. I don't know what to think about them. They're confusing. And it was just like, what? Huh? And then I eventually figured out he's a guy. And I'm just like, well, okay, sure, yeah, that's a dude. Yeah, yeah, I totally believe you, MiHoYo. Because, yeah, it was MiHoYo at the time. But yeah, he was really the only one I enjoyed. I properly enjoyed what he contributed to the story. Even though the story, oh my god, it was so basic. Oh no, Dragon, scary and bad and sick. We have to heal him. Sure thing, boss, I guess. And I guess I'm the only one who can heal him. Yeah. Sure. And, I could tell that, like, this was very Breath of the Wild, even though I haven't even played Breath of the Wild. It was just like the Four Winds. I was just like, I can tell they're taking from something here. I also had a little bit of pre-context by watching some other people play, because I usually like to look at videos playing the game that I'm trying to get into, just to feel like I'm more a part of the community. Which, at first, the community was quite lovely, if a little weird, but a little lovely. And then I was like, okay, I probably should at least try to build myself to the point where the people who invited me to play this game are at. Who, by the way, these folks were in Endgame. So I was trying to race to that point. But I was also kind of questioning, okay, so hear me out. why wouldn't I just be satisfied with Kaya? Kaya's a cool dude. He's mad chill. Yeah, low-key, on my first account, I was about to be another dish. Because I liked Kaya. Kaya was chill, no pun intended. And he was funny. He seemed like to be an alright 4-star as well. I didn't like using Lisa. Amber was bad and I could tell. Wind Aether was not great. Kaya was really the only option, like, oh, you know what? He's really cool. And I like his gameplay, if a little bit. I can tell he lacks depth, unlike the rest of the cast, because I bet everyone else has a more dynamic gameplay than him, but he's alright. He does a good amount of damage, and he has a fun ult. So yeah, I think I could play Kaya. He's simple enough to play and, like, learn how to game with him. So I was being pretty satisfied with Kaya. And then I was beginning to look at the rest of the roster, and I was really questioning, like, if I'm really gonna try to get into this game, shouldn't I have a character goal? And I was really questioning, like, who do I get? Who do I want? Because at the time, I was really, like, based off pure vibes and looking at the character, like, gallery, not gonna lie, none of them interested me. Even the 5-stars, I'm like, okay, waifu, husbando. I could just tell. The only one who really interests me, and it's kind of funny, is Chongyun. At the time, it was Chongyun. It was because of his little sigil idol animation, and I was just like, oh, that's cool. Nah, he's dope. I like him, and he's also kind of adorable because he has his little popsicle thing. He's neat, and I figured out he's an exorcist. I'm like, okay, I can vibe with this. Maybe I should try to get Chongyun. And then I get Chongyun. And I'm like, oh, okay, cool. Chongyun. So then after that, I kind of like, okay, I should probably set my sights on something higher. But I genuinely don't know what that would be. Like, I guess Kaching? Because she looked kind of similar to one of my favorite characters from Fire Emblem Three Houses. Especially after Time Skip, Lysithea. I say it especially after Time Skip because I love how much she matured and grew after Time Skip. And Kuching gave me Lysithea vibes. So I was like, okay, I could maybe get into Kuching. Then I figured out she was anti-god, and I was just like, well, that kind of ruins that for me. And then, but that would be a little later, because I was just like, I'm just going to ignore what people are saying online about Kuching for now, because I would think that's spoilers. So, I guess I should go to this rock region now that I've beat the prologue and I've saved the time for the dragon. Yay! Hopefully, I'm no longer treated like a baby, which I guess sort of never changed, but we'll get to that later. We show up to Liyue, and things are starting to heat up. Things are getting tense. Oh no, we're a fugitive. Oh no! A child shows up. Cool. Alright, fun. Okay, he's kinda cool. He's neat. And then we show up to Zhongli's, banquet. Okay, so you're the rock god, right? Like, it's not even like a plot twist, HOYO-verse. Like, I don't know what you were thinking. Sorry, HOYO at the time. But, like, I could tell immediately, without even looking at YouTube, I could tell he was rock god. Or, sorry, Geo Archon of Liyue. I know it's supposed to be Liyue, but I digress. But I begin talking with him, and I'm like, ooh, he's kind of spicy. He's kind of cool. Okay. Then we start like hanging out with him, and I'm just like, you know what? I really like this guy. This guy's chill. I like this guy, and I also know he's eventually gonna end up revealing himself to be the Geo Archon. And I have a thing for gods, considering, yeah, for those who don't know, I have a god complex. I use it to get more confidence in social situations. I know that's typically not how it works, but here I am. So I have an extra infatuation with gods. So that's why anyone who's sort of anti-god, well... So I sort of go through the whole Liyue storyline. And I sort of like see, okay, what's beyond the Liyue story? What's his deal? What's this guy's deal? I know he's Geo Archon, but what does that actually entail? And then I look at him, and then I look at his kit, and then I see he drops a giant meteor from the sky, and he has the best shield in the game, which would make me immune to interruption entirely. And I knew I wanted him, because he would make the game simple. So I was like, okay, sick. I mean, I don't think this would be unreasonable to ask for and, like, strive for. And I bet he would be popping up soon. I think I could probably strive for that. And mind you, I was ignoring the advice at this time to not go for the Acquaint Fates. I was absolutely pulling on the Acquaint Fates because I wanted to see if I could get a standard banner character. This is the first account, and I was kind of butchering it. And I think this was around Ganyu's banner, because by the time I got into the game for the first time on my first account, while Zhongli's banner was about to end, his first one. So this was 1.1-ish, I think. And by the time I came back, it was Ganyu's banner. Yeah, like, I played it for a couple days, like, took a break for, like, a couple weeks. So I was very much on the latter end of Zhongli's initial, like, banner. And then I completely skipped Albedo, and I was just like, okay. And then Ganyu was out. And I saw Sophist, or the Sophisticated Eevees at the time, video on how good Ganyu was, or how much he wanted Ganyu, more or less. So I was just, okay. And then I saw Ganyu, I'm like, I get the feeling she's gonna be important later. I'm not gonna deal with it right now. By the time I'm starting to, like, trying to get into the groove and, like, trying to, like, stock up for something important, it was Child's banner. And not his first, his rerun. And I was 1.4. 1.5 was on the rise, and newsflash, we were getting not only a new character in Eula, and Zhongli's rerun. I was excited. I was ecstatic. I was like, my boy! I get to bring my boy home, because I realized that the women at the time weren't all that interesting. But Zhongli was! So I was absolutely going to give this a try. I tried for the first time on the first account, and I managed to get the 5-star. Pretty lucky, despite the fact that days or weeks prior, I managed to get an Aquila Favonia for my Kaya. So my Kaya on that account is still technically very set. That man is set for life. If I just want, like, that is the just Kaya account permanently, but I'm never going back to it. Never. Because I know how old it is. And I don't want to build that account from the ground up. That would cost way too much time, way too much resources. So I pull, and I get a 5-star on the first account. And who do I get? Mona! Okay. And then I start to feel a little hopeless. Because I was like, I already used a lot of the Primo Gems that I could get already. Uh-oh. I don't think I'm going to be getting Zhongli on this account. I want to get him this patch. Otherwise, I won't see him for a while. My first experience with FOMO to this degree, by the way. So I make a second account. Because I'm like, no, I want him. I want him. If I get what I want. So I make the second account, and I grind and I grind and I grind for probably like a week, and I'm able to get like enough pulls, and I end up getting like a 5-star, I believe around 40 pulls. And who do I get? A Kuching. And don't get me wrong, she was cool at that time, and she felt really good at that time. But beyond that, I was not about to give up on my dream. Striving for Zhongli. And it's probably good to say, neither of the characters I got were bad pulls, by any means, when it comes to standard banner. Mona's still good for nuking, and Kuching, she's a passable of an Electro DPS. There are better options, but she's passable. She'll get you through a good amount of the game. And then I moved to the third account, because I wanted my boy. And I'm just gonna say this now. This won't be the first time this happens. Me getting the 2 5-stars on 2 separate accounts that happen to be standard banner 50/50 characters, it establishes a pattern. When Nate wants a character really, really badly, it usually takes an extreme amount of effort for me to even get them. Or I pre-farm for them to such a degree that the video game will, even when they try to say no, I end up getting them anyway. This will also establish sort of a Zhongli trend as well. We'll talk about it later. So I'm grinding as much as I can, and we fast forward a little bit, and we have 3 days left on the banner. 3 days. Meaning, if I have to roll another account, at this point, I'm probably just not getting him. Or I'd have to spend money, which at the time, I was still a junior in high school with no job. So, no. I was not spending money. So, I'm grinding as much as I can, and I'm at this point, I'm looking at my 4 pulls that I happen to have built up, and I'm attempting to save up for another 10 pull, and I'm on call with my friends after doing all the events and doing all the exploration I possibly could at this point, given the characters I have. One of my relatives happens to say, "Hey, I don't know if this helps, but I feel like you should just do the single pulls at this point. You are running out of time, and those pulls will add up, so you might as well do them. Do them before you don't get the character, essentially." Not only will this foreshadow just how many times I'll eventually end up doing single pulls to get the characters, but I do follow his advice, and I'm like, you know what, you're right. So I do my wishing ritual, because yes, I had a wishing ritual for this. My wishing ritual at the time was to, in a way, reenact the Exuvia falling out of the sky scene, create the rite of descension, essentially, that would have brought Zhongli or Rex Lapis down from the sky. I don't care about spoilers. Zhongli's Rex Lapis, if you couldn't tell, I'm sorry. I don't know what to tell you. So, essentially, what I did was, I used Aether, because yes, I picked Aether every single time I made a new account, because I wanted to self-insert, leave me alone, and I enjoy Aether more. I like Zach Aguilar, and I knew Zach Aguilar before I knew of Sarah Miller Cruz, I think her name is? But yeah, I knew Zach Aguilar from Byleth from Super Smash Brothers. So the moment I knew he was Aether, I knew exactly what I was doing. So I sent Aether, I plunged attack to the grounds of the Rite of Descension, and plunged attack with Aether. E, popped ult. Swapped to Noelle. E, popped ult. Swapped to Rosario. Only ult just for the polearm and the spear to be crushed down. Swapped to Yanfei. Popped ult. Charged attack. And I went to the wishing screen. I had 4 ults. Pull 1, nothing. Pull 2, nothing. Pull 3, nothing. Pull 4, the golden glow graced my eyes for the 3rd time. And I was already yelling. I was like, guys, it's happening. It's happening. I'm getting a 5-star right now. I can't look. Close my eyes. I cover my face. Scared for my life. Because this would determine whether or not I would enjoy the game at all after this. I couldn't look for a good 10 seconds. I slowly begin to uncover my face. From the laptop I was then playing, because I started on a phone or tablet, but I actually eventually moved to like a proper laptop, right? And then it happened. Opened my eyes. There he stood. I scream to the top of my lungs. So much so that my siblings in the other room were like, bro, could you keep it down? I mean, it was a Friday, so I didn't really care. But I was going to be loud. That was the only time in gacha history, like when it came to me gambling, period, that I got close to crying over a poll. And it'd be the only time. Because I have a healthy relationship with the concept. Well, healthier anyway. But I got him. I got him, and I was ecstatic. Alright, I got him. The first things I went to go do were to take pictures with him, mess around and like do the combat animations, like do the charge attack where he like slams the spears down and like he just play around with him, like I would do, like it's just something I would do even when it came to like other gacha games I was playing at the time. I went from Fire Emblem Three Houses through Kagi Films, Alejandro Saab, also known as Cyyu to this day, and went to Dragon Ball Legends, and then I saw him taking a part into Genshin as well. Turns out he's also been into the Genshin grind for a pretty long while. So this is just something I did. I just kind of messed around with him for a while. And I was like, alright, now I have to make him good, because I went through 3 accounts just to get to this man. And now, it was starting to feel like, alright, let's play some college ball. Opening up the building, was already fighting the Geo-Hypostasis immediately. I was immediately getting to that. And it was a little tedious at the time. I mean, definitely in comparison to now, but I was able to do it. Talents also weren't too bad, because the talents, I mean, they weren't that hard. I'll be honest, considering I was playing with Yanfei and Rosaria, and like it was fine. And Zhongli's shield was already at the point, like just with a little bit of investment, that I wasn't getting like interrupted that much. It was around that point where I was actually starting to get into artifacts and actually understanding how impactful they were. I got Zhongli artifacts. I immediately went to go to him, and it took about a month to get the base build down. It was alright considering what I was able to achieve for a month. Essentially, what ended up happening was I immediately went for a sub DPS build because I knew I wanted the meteor. That's what mattered to me. Like, don't get me wrong, the shield was great, but I also wanted to make sure that I was able to use that meteor. I wanted to use that big fat meatball. And so I immediately went for a sub DPS build, meaning I knew I had to get a good amount of crit rate and crit damage, because I could tell this was based on the little research I did, based like builds in this game worked. It more or less revolved around how much damage your characters did. It didn't matter how tanky your characters were, it just mattered how much damage you were doing. And I knew HP mattered for Zhongli, because his attacks scaled on HP. So I got an HP timepiece, crit damage hat at the time, and I think it's still a crit damage hat to this day. It's a better crit damage hat now. Geo damage goblet, and normal feather, normal flower, all that shenanigans, but it was Tenacity of the Millilith. I got to build my Zhongli with the artifact set that was designed for him, off rip, because it was 1.5 when I got him. So I wasn't just gonna go for a lame retracing bolide. I was gonna go for Tenacity. So I built him within the matter of the month, and he was alright. He got what needed to get done for him during that time frame, because things weren't getting too extreme at that point. I was tempted to get Eula, but by the time I was thinking about whether or not I wanted to go for Eula or not, I was also thinking I should probably get Ganyu, because he would be great for her considering how much he could protect her. And I have an affiliation towards Cryo and Hydro characters because I have an anti-affiliation to Fire. I'm not going to go into why, because that's more personal than I need to let on. It is a cultural bias of mine, and it would be proven later that isn't that extreme, but I definitely have more of a preference to characters relating to water in any sort of fashion, or snow. So one thing about one of the patterns I mentioned before was when Nate really wants a character, he usually doesn't get it, or it comes at a very, very high cost. I'm reminding you of this because the next banner that followed when it came to 1.6 was Kazuha and Klee. I made the mistake of skipping Kazuha entirely, but what I meant to do was get Sucrose from Klee's banner, and I believe Bennett as well. I don't remember if I got Bennett from Zhongli or Klee. I just remember I got Bennett somewhere along that time frame. But I digress. So I decided to pull on Klee's banner just to make sure I was getting a Sucrose. I believe I also got my first Sync show around this time. Could be wrong. I was pulling on the Klee banner, and because I was trying to get Sucrose, because I wanted more nuke potential between my characters, because I knew I eventually had to get some DPSs later, and Sucrose would be a great nuking tool for that, and making so I can get the highest damage numbers that I probably should be trying to achieve. And, gold pops up again. Now, technically this establishes two patterns. Once I have failed miserably at dealing with Zhongli's banner, immense luck follows immediately afterwards. And two, the high price that comes from really wanting something. So, not only do I get Klee, yes, I actually win the 50-50 for a character I didn't even want, and I'm still mad that I have her, because she's the only banner I would actually skip normally, but I get a Sucrose not long after. I think it was the 10 pull after I got Klee, or the 10 pull I got Klee, which was, kinda sucky. It didn't feel great, I won't lie. I, for the most part, skipped Kazuha despite the fact that many people were starting to realize, oh wait, this guy's cracked? So I made that mistake, and would eventually try to make up for that later. But what helped with that was not only the fact that I had no DPS, but I was excited for another DPS that was on the horizon. And fun fact, it wasn't Ganyu, because newsflash, 1.6 was the last of the 1.0 patches, so I was gonna ride it out in style into Inazuma with my Zhongli in hand.
The god of contracts. Have you heard of him? He has an impressive memory. After letting go of my gnosis, I never expected to see a day like this again. Thank you, friend.
What shall we do?
Fuck yeah!